Welcome into college football overtime. My name is Garrett Chapman. His name is Abe Gordon. We have some big news that we want to discuss with you because we have a little bit more clarity when it comes to the college football playoff and the future that exists within our sport and why it's a little bit better for a few than it is for the majority. We're going to get into our thoughts on where all of it stands, what all's going on, and we're going to give you a little bit more intel on that stuff. But before we do all of that, episode 40 of College Football Overtime. Abe Gordon, how you doing, buddy?
I had not been keeping count, so I'm glad that someone has. Number 40, man, and look, we're just rolling through. We got a lot more to come.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. But look, the college football playoff has been seemingly the most important topic in all of college football for the last couple of years. I know college football game time on Saturdays. We welcome in John Fricky. We discuss all things college football on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. And look, at the end of the day, that was a prevailing conversation topic on the show just about every single week. You have people who want to expand it. You have people like me who didn't want to expand it. Then you have people who think that we're going to go into this new era of super conferences. And like there are these different mentalities on all of this. But we officially have a brand new college football playoff deal in place. And I think it has offered some clarity to what we can expect moving forward in this new world of college athletics. Because look, at the end of the day, college football rules everything, and that's the biggest moneymaker. And the Power Two, which I mean, at this day and age, it is the Power Two. You've got the SEC and Greg Sankey, and then you got Tony Petitti in the Big Ten. They are dominating the college football landscape at this point, and they just signed a $1.3 billion deal with ESPN. This, of course, drops through early, right at the beginning of the weekend, I believe on Friday afternoon. That's when it officially came through. But this has been a long time coming. I mean, we've pretty much known this to be the case for a good long while. But it's the Power Two and 7 other FBS conferences plus Notre Dame. It starts in 2026. And the new college football playoff will have, quote, at least 12 teams, with the champions of the ACC, the Big Ten, the SEC, the Big 12, and the highest ranked group of 5 champion earning an automatic playoff berth. Of course, that includes the Pac-2, Washington State and Oregon State. Those are the only two that lost money in this deal. Everybody else got a lot more money, specifically the SEC and the Big Ten. They're going to be bringing in about 58% of the total revenue generated from this. That's going to be about $21 million per school every single year. The ACC is going to get about 17 million, which is about 17%, which is about 14 million. The Big 12 is going to get 14.7%, which is just a hair over 13 million. The group of 5 will get 9%. And Notre Dame, every single year, is going to get 1% of that pie. The strong preference, Abe, and then I'll let you jump into this real quick. It's for 14 teams. And I think the writing's on the wall. That's where we're going to see it. But we'll discuss that in just a minute. Abe, what are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, just scrolling Twitter, seeing if there's any news on 16 teams yet. We know that's the logical next step. I mean, isn't it? I mean, look, the deal itself.
It's 64. Let's just be done with it.
Hey, man, playing 8-game season and let's get after it. No, I mean, look, the deal itself is very interesting. How they decided to divvy up the money, and I know I fought you on a couple aspects of this whole process in regards to my feelings and what might be the best for the future of college football, and more specifically for all teams involved versus some. But this is a situation that you kind of mentioned where it's these conferences kind of have to accept this deal because that's what the money is going to be presented to them. And they're kind of stuck because there is no denying whether or not this model is the best for college football. It's certainly financially, even though other pieces are getting bigger, it's still what's in the best interest of some of these other smaller conferences. So they do have to accept that to that extent. And then we get into the discussion of how is a 12 team going to look? How is a 14 team going to look? What are we doing in terms of auto bids and conference championships and at-larges and all that whole thing? So there's still a long way to go into dialing down a specific format in regards to how the fields are going to be created. But it's interesting to see that they all came together relatively simply, relatively easily. Almost a little surprised Notre Dame isn't asking for more, if we're going to be honest. But that probably would have led to them being forced into a conference. And like you said, this is the offer that they were given, and they probably, if they want to stay independent, this was probably all they could accept. They really don't have much of a bargaining chip there. But yeah, it's a lot of money, Garrett. It is a lot of money. And I know we just went through this Nick Saban thing. I know we've been going through this, this whole college football and how it could kill the other sports and all that. It's just, that's a choice. Like with as much money as you're getting, like that's just a choice. If you don't want to support other sports as a school, that's on you. But I think we could see college football is raising more than enough money to do so.
Yeah, I don't think money is going to be much of an issue for the sporting world at the collegiate level for a little while. Um, at least if you're in the SEC and the Big Ten, that's certainly where it exists. And look, at the end of the day, it's like you're looking at lots and lots of money that's going to hit the college football world, and you have the new model, which is going to be the 5+7. Or what are your thoughts on that model that they came to a conclusion
Of the 5+7?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, other people may feel differently. I like the idea of auto bids in terms of a conference champ. I don't like the idea of like this league automatically gets this many teams and that league automatically gets that many teams. But I personally do like playing out the season to where you're conference champion. You have a conference championship game. Whoever wins it is automatically in. And in my opinion, I would make those the first 5 seeds as well. That's, I know that's up for play a little bit in terms of the seeding, but that's how I would do it. It just, you should be rewarded for winning something. And so I'm in favor, and we talked about this, Garrett, you and I, for a long time, of what is the significance of a conference championship game. And if you're going to make the field of 12 or 14, maybe you don't even want to be in the conference championship game. Treat it as a bye, stuff like that. There needs to be incentive. And in my opinion, it needs to be a very strong incentive. And so I'm in favor of the auto bids from that perspective. And then, like you said, with 5 and 7, like just make sure the little guy is represented to some extent. Look, we're never going to get 5 group of 5 teams and 5 power 5 teams, right? Like, I think we understand that, but there needs to be an opportunity. I would like for more than just one. But there needs to be an opportunity for the little guy. Obviously UCF, Cincinnati at the time, look, they weren't going to win anything, but let them go out there and play their little hearts out, man.
Well, but this is the stage of where we are in college football, and look, this is the future of the sport. I mean, one of the group of 5 athletic directors, just speaking of which, he said, quote, "It's like the Godfather's offer you can't refuse." And it was, hey, we're offering you a seat at the table, and you're going to sit down and you're going to eat a crap pie and you're going to enjoy it. And it's like, if you want to go do something else on your own, feel free. Go do what you want to do. But you're never going to get an offer like this again. And this is just basically what you're going to have to accept. And on one hand, it's like the money's better. They're going to be making more money, but they're sort of hamstrung to this. I mean, like, look, there were certain things that power brokers in the group of 5, they wanted certain concessions. Like, they wanted to have a certain level of representation. They wanted to make a certain amount of money. They wanted to stay relevant within this new era of the football subdivision, or the football bowl subdivision. And what did I say? The FBS. Yeah, that's right. I got confused there for the FCS for a split second. But look, they just wanted to stay relevant. And at this stage, like, they are going to remain relevant to some extent. And this kind of puts to rest, at least for now, the next couple of years, the idea that we might be breaking off and having a smaller a division between FCS and FBS. Maybe that does put it to bed officially. at least until 2031 when this deal is set to expire. But that is about the next big move that I see coming.
Yeah,
Because I mean, like when you get to the 2030s, you're going to have the ACC. Their TV deal is going to start. It's going to be coming to an end. You're going to have the Pac-2, which those guys aren't going to exist anymore. They're going to be somewhere else. They're going to get absorbed somewhere. And then you're going to have these other conferences like the Big 12. Like maybe we see what they can do. That is your next big domino to fall, I think, at least looking at it long term.
yeah, it's interesting, and we've talked about this here, and obviously by the basis of this announcement and how it's, you know, playing itself out. There were two options, right? You can do what's best for your financial future,
Yeah.
or you could do what's best for your football future. And at this point, there's no one who's doing what's best for their football future. Everyone's doing what's best for their financial future. And I can't really blame them, right? Like we talked about the SEC and the Big Ten. We knew they were on this whole financial side of things, right?
Yeah.
How can you expect anyone else to be like, that's all you guys, man. We're doing what's best for football. Like it's not a realistic expectation. You would be fired as an AD, fired as a president or school, whatever, head of dean, whatever role you have. If that were the decision, like it, unfortunately, ultimately, it could not be a football's best interest decision. It had to be a financial interest decision, and so they do all align in this realm. And you do bring up some good points about where the future is and
Yeah.
what we could be facing. But yeah, hopefully we're 6, 7, 8+ years away from really having to have these serious discussions again. Because there was a time. Now, I told you I did not believe it was that serious, but there was a time in the past couple of months where people legitimately thought the NCAA was on its last, taking its last
Yeah.
breath. I never felt that way. I still don't think it would have been in the best interest, even of the big schools, for that to be the way it played itself out. But it does seem like that is settling. Those talks are removing themselves a little bit, which is nice to see, because ultimately, Garrett, you and I are not here to talk about this. I don't really enjoy it, if we're going to be
No.
honest. Like, we want to talk about football. We got
Yeah.
spring practices that started up last week. We got two early top 25s that came out months ago already that are in the rear view mirror. I mean, this is the stuff that you and I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Certainly there's some stuff, pro days. Lad McHockey looked great at Georgia's pro day. And Spencer Rattler, you got the draft coming up and how that parlays itself into the world of college football. There's just all this stuff on the field you and I would really prefer to talk about. But unfortunately, due to the circumstances, this is what we're stuck dealing with. But I think it's going to be refreshing if we can kind of slide this away for a couple.
I'm excited.
Not make it so serious and have some fun talking football here on College Football Overtime, man.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing. It's like I think I wrapped our episode 2 weeks ago, and I said that exact thing. I was like, "Man, it was a heavy show, wasn't it?" And I feel like we've kind of had a lot of those, and I look forward to the day that we kind of had some settled college football, and not everything has to be a big money grab like it is right now in the college football landscape, where the SEC and the Big Ten are swiping at money, and then it's like, oh, we're gonna put to bed these other conferences, and then and then you're absorbing others and leaving others out in the cold, and it's just not a fun sort of thought, because look, I'm a Georgia Southern grad. I'm somebody who went to one of those Group of 5 schools, one of the people who's a football rabid school. We love our football down in Statesboro, Georgia. Let me tell you what. And the idea that they would be one of those schools left out in the cold, that's a crappy feeling, Abe. Like, and that's not something that I really enjoy, even remotely close to thinking about, And I love the sport. You love this sport, and I very eagerly await that day that we can get back to the college football. Because look, I talked to you about this during our pre-show. I just want to talk about football. I want to talk about who the best wide receivers are coming back next year, because we're losing some great ones, like with Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze and Marvin Harrison Jr., who I cannot believe I said third on that list. Brock Bowers, if you include him on that list. Like, look, we've got
there's a second tier that's going out
players
too. I mean, there's an incredible second tier of receivers
as
well, whether it's Worthy or Mitchell,
Xavier
Legette, Lad McConkey, Ricky Pearsall. It is loaded. So
Roman Wilson.
Roman Wilson, good call. Yeah. There's plenty
Yeah,
of
I
them.
mean, there is tons and tons of talent, and that is something I'm very eagerly looking forward to because we are hitting that period of the spring where recruiting calendars have completely flipped. We're looking at the class of 2025, which is weird to say, 2025. And now we're gonna get into this next era of college football. And Abe, like you said, let's put this to rest. Let's hopefully be done with it. But that's episode 40, college football overtime. We're coming up to episode 50. We might have to do something fun when we get to that one, but we'll discuss that here in just a little bit. But for Abe Gordon, my name is Garrett Chapman. Make sure you do subscribe because we are going to be having more of those conversations here in the coming weeks because college football is fun. It's meant to be fun. So let's have fun. Am I right, Abe? All right, man. So that's it for us today. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you drop a comment if there's something that you do want to see us discuss as the off season continues to progress. Make sure you do that. Drop that down there below. Give it or shoot it over to us on Twitter at GChapATL, at Abe Gordon on Twitter/X. But till next time, my name's Garrett Chapman. His name's Abe Gordon. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.